Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and the project for today is to expand my firewood area, which is actually more of a correcting what I undersized last year when I put this gravel pad in. This had been just field, but really muddy unless it's really dry out. So the gravel has worked well, but it's not quite big enough. I have each of those racks hold half a cord each, so there's, I don't know, about 6 or 8, so 3 or 4 cords there. But I'll have 3 rows of those when all is said and done. But when I have 3 rows of those, it really sort of crowds me as far as my log trailer, cutting table, and the splitter. So what I want to do is maybe make it another 12 feet, 15 feet wide. This pile of sod or topsoil is from when I scraped this out last year and just never had a chance to bring it out back. I do have a spot which you might be able to see, sort of right there somewhere. It is looks like grown up brush, but that's actually a big sod pile which turns into nice topsoil. All the clumps of grass decompose, and other than rocks, it's pretty smooth, easy to spread. So that's where I put some other topsoil from previous projects, and that's where I want to put this. Even though the ground is quite wet, I'm hoping between here and there it's going to be good enough for me to dump it. The other thing I did not have last year that I have now was that nice bulldozer. I had a Case 310, which was small. It was good. It was very good dozer. It just wasn't good for this particular application, which is now instead of trying to back onto that hill with my dump trailer, I can just dump it anywhere I want to and then push it up there easily with that dozer. It would not have been as easy with the Case 310. So that's sort of the goal for this project. But there's couple other things that come into play, which is this area here, which is wet. You see it puddles here, and when it rains, it actually runs down the road and a little bit off here into the firewood area, which, because it's gravel, it doesn't really inhibit much. I can still work there even though there might be water on top. Unlike if it was grass, it would be muddy like this, ruts and stuff. But at the same time, since I'm going to be moving sod out, I want to take the dozer and cut a little bit of a swale between here and where the dog is, which is where I ended the swale, which does drain to the town road. But this pile of poplar boards is in the way. This pile here has been here for over 10 years. I picked away at it, used it for subflooring for a flooring video that I did just a couple weeks ago. You can see that on my channel. So even though it's been here for a long time, it's been stickered and the wood is still good. Particularly when you plane it, it looks like freshly cut material. So I need to move this. I'm going to put it over there and sort of finish off the 3 rows of other lumber that I have sort of sitting out there. The problem here is, I can't remember how wide it is, but I think I made this like 5 feet wide, and my forks are only 4 feet. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like when I try to get the forks underneath this pile and move it over here. These 4x4s are just temporary. I'm just going to set it on here. I'm going to cut the grass down here where the boards will eventually go, put some road fabric down so we don't have grass growing up and to minimize the moisture wicking, and then hand pile it onto that sort of for the finish. So let's see how things go when I move this pile of boards. That actually went a lot better than I was thinking it was going to. The stickers themselves is sort of what held up the boards that were beyond the forks. So you can see here I used pressure treated 4x4s. And hopefully the road fabric kept the bottom boards from rotting out. But I'll just clean this up. Oh, there's a bottom board. See, that looks as good as new. Stickering is the key. So I'll clean up this mess, make this sort of area sort of all ready to make my swale, remove some topsoil, shape it up. Well, certainly taking that stuff off the top there was a big help. I put some of it back on. It might have, between the concrete blocks and the wood and stuff, there might have been a couple 100 pounds, but that made all the difference in the world as far as keeping my rear wheels on the ground. Well, evidently that's sticky stuff, but the angle is difficult to get it to dump steep enough. I think what I'll do is I'll come over here to the right. Yeah, I think this looks good. And then maybe dump it off the back. So I'll probably end up coming out here with a dozer. It didn't actually seem that bad to back up, but it's just not flat, so it's difficult. So I think I may bring the dozer out here, flatten out this so I can back up and just dump it off the back. That didn't go too badly, so I'll probably just continue doing that until I can't anymore, and then bring the bulldozer out here and flatten this out a bit. This is a lot firmer than it was last year. In fact, it was basically last year at the same time that I was doing that firewood pad. So it was dicey here as far as muddy, particularly when I had a fresh pile of topsoil I was trying to back up, but it's a lot better this year. So that will be the last load of the pile. So the pile's gone, but now I need to strip the topsoil off from the area that I want to expand it. So it's about 15 feet more. Basically I measured from the end of the gravel pad there to this corner is 75 feet. And so there's my mark. So that makes it 75 feet by, I don't know, it might be 50 or 60 feet. I didn't measure the depth and I don't remember what it was. So basically from the front of the dozer back to the excavator, about 15 feet wide, I'll do my best to strip the topsoil and not get any more clay than I need to. I did notice there was a fair amount of clay in the stuff that I was loading in the trailer. So I went deeper than I needed to here. The only downside there is I have to buy more gravel. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do about gravel. We'll talk about that when the gravel time comes. But for now I'm going to empty this last load and then start stripping the topsoil from the dozer back. The topsoil here is actually much shallower than I was anticipating. I think I might have scraped some off because this was in a windrow from last year's project, and then I pushed it into that pile that we just moved with the bulldozer. But I think I scraped some of the topsoil off this spring when I did that. That's probably why it's not as deep as I thought, but I know I did excessively deep over there. So it is getting dark. I may do this load and another one before it becomes too hard to see, but I know the camera doesn't pick up well in the dark. So I'm probably almost halfway done, but I think the topsoil is a bit thicker here where the actual pile was. So I'm guessing it'll probably take at least 2 more loads after this one. But anyhow, so we'll call it good for today, and we'll meet up in the morning, hopefully with this pad almost cleared and ready for gravel. And then we still have the swale or ditch over there, so we can take care of that muddy spot. It is a new morning, and there's just a peak of sun behind an otherwise rather dark, cloudy sky. But I did take one more load. I think that will be the last load I'm going to take from here. Where the excavator sits, I still have some material to take out. But what I thought of overnight, since we last met, was that I'm actually going to have this gravel pad probably 4, 6, maybe 8 inches higher than the level here. So I'm going to reserve some of that topsoil and just sort of windrow it or just pile it over here, because I know I'm going to need some to sort of ramp up to meet the edge of the gravel Even over here you can see that I know before I started working here there was a puddle, so this is sort of a low area. So I may even build this sort of edge of the pad up a little bit too. So let's move some more dirt. Well, I'm very sort of perplexed as to why the topsoil was so shallow here. I really thought it was deeper. I know it was deeper over there. Anyhow, just this turned out nice. You can see just a little bit below the surface here, but this is all clay. It packed really nice. It's not the flattest. There's some bumps, but that's fine for the purpose that this is. So yeah, right here there almost is no topsoil. So I think this might have been where I scraped off, as I mentioned, with the dozer to put it in that pile that I loaded from. But down there on the other end near the tripod, I thought it was going to be deeper. Anyhow, it is what it is. So when I get the other area done, then we'll measure up how much gravel I need to fill it in. So for this next section, it's sort of a triangle. The swale that I made basically ends where the lumber piles end right there. And from there down, it does generally go to the road. In the spring, if there's ice, it might build up a little bit and shed over into the lawn, but not much of an issue. I have built this up here quite a bit because it was really shedding over that way, but that sort of forced it this way. Anyhow, so that swale really ends right about here. But what I need to do is continue it onto there and allow this mud. I'm hoping I'll be down just deep enough to allow this mud to drain so that it does not have standing water like this. And in addition to that, provide a little bit of backup space so when I back up, you know, from handling firewood, I don't go immediately over the ditch into the mud. As far as road fabric, with this other one here, as I mentioned, it packed really hard, as been my experience with this material around my house. So I'm not worried about the gravel mixing in, which is really the purpose of road fabric, is to stabilize and prevent the two from mixing. I'm guessing here it's going to be the same because I've driven over it and I really only sink down about 4 to 6 inches and that's it, even with a heavy load. You can see here. So I'm guessing once I scrape off this slop, it's going to be a pretty solid foundation. So I'll just dig down to where it's firm. This material here, I don't know, it'll either be 1 or 2 trailer loads, but it'll be the last, I think, for this year back there, and I'll show you what that pile turned out to be. But for now, let's scrape this off and load it up. And because I'm not a fast operator, time lapse makes me look a whole lot better. I've had this issue before with with clumps, large clumps of sod like that, is if I pile it too high and the tailgate opens, it gets caught here and it just stays there. So I was able to finagle it out with a lot of handwork, but this doesn't look nearly as soddy down there, maybe a little bit, but I'm gonna have to play it by ear. If it looks like it's real large hunks of sod, I'll probably just have a real light trailer load. I'm really happy with how this whole thing turned out. I really was a bit skeptical with the dampness, the weather, the field conditions, etc. But there's quite a bit of material. Basically from here over is all the material that I dumped. I didn't count. I really need to put a counter in the excavator or the tractor so I can count the number of loads. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the order of 20. So at about 5.5 yards per load, I think that works out to be maybe 100 yards. So small scale by many standards, but for me it's better part of a day's work to haul that stuff out here with my little tractor and trailer. But this hill held up really well, because last year it was relatively new and I was trying to add to it, and backing up here I was just sinking. I mean, the tractor was spinning, it was trying to fishtail and everything, trying to back up this, which is really sort of a tiny little ramp when you look at it from the side, not much of an angle, but it held up well. Alright, so this is all taken care of. The actual base material, the clay packed down well. The little clumps of stuff you see scattered about, that really is just little bits of topsoil, the organic stuff. So the plan here is, it's actually quite a bit of a dip there, but I don't think that was what I just did. Maybe it was. In any event, that's going to be filled with gravel from basically here. I'm going to cut off this little bit of a curve to make it a bit more straight. So as far as the actual road height, I'm not going to build it up here, but when I get down here, where that bit that I just took out narrows to a point, I'm going to raise the road up, because this is where the water would run sort of down the middle of the road and then off into the firewood area. So as far as the amount of material that I need here, do a quick calculation, see if I can do this one-handed. So it is 60 feet long, I just measured it, times, I said 15, but I'm going to say 17. Down here I measured 17. If I want to put 8 inches times 8 divided by 12, so that's 680 cubic feet. 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard, because it's 3 feet per yard, times 3 times 3. So divided by 27, that's 25 yards. So for me, a 10-wheeler load is about 14 yards. So that'll be 2 truckloads for this area, and I think just 1 truckload here. I'm not really going to measure anything. I'll sort of play it by ear. I think 1 truckload will be fine to extend the road to the right at the same level down on that end, and then raise the road down here, really just maybe 2 or 3 inches to about here, which is where I think all I need to force the water either that way or that way. So this is a weekend. I won't have an opportunity to have gravel delivered until Friday. So that is almost a week. Hopefully the weather holds out. There's no issues with backing a dump truck in here, so I'm not worried about that. I just wouldn't want to do it in the pouring rain, but I think the forecast looks pretty decent. So we'll catch up then. Stay tuned. Well, it's been a week since we were here last. A little bit has changed. The ground's a bit whiter. I moved all my equipment that was sort of right here. Log splitter, firewood tables on the other side of the excavator, log trailer. So we had some rain, some snow, so makes for a nice idea of what level is. This corner here too I can see is low, so, and there's a fair amount of water running out here. I think it's running into there and then running out there. And you can see water running in here from the field and down the road. So the truck should be here shortly. I have 3 loads ordered. The first 2 I'm just gonna dump right in front of the bulldozer, push it here. I'm hoping as I push the material it'll sort of push the water out and not mix it in to be a soupy mess. That wouldn't be good. And the 3rd load, I'm not gonna have him tailgate it, but just to drive ahead while he dumps it, to sort of spread it from here so the road is a bit higher to where the orange bucket is. Well, there's 1 load dumped. Let's spread that out while we're waiting for the other one. Well, the volume will work out well. I have 1 more load to, this is a little bit deeper, or I want to bring it up higher, I guess I should say. But it is going to be sloppy. It'll freeze for the winter, and during next summer it should firm up nicely. So not the ideal sort of weather conditions. it's sloppy, but looks like things are working in the right direction. I have water now coming this way and hopefully out that way. I did sort of dig in a little bit of this swale upstream here because it was really starting to run into this gravel area. So what I'll do, I'll probably take the tractor. The bucket will make a nice smooth finish, much better than I can do with the dozer blade, and just run it back and forth with the tractor tires to pack it down as best I can. Yep. Well, it seems to be doing what I want it to. There's all kinds of water running it down there and eventually to the town road. Raised the road here just a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't shoot off that way like it had been. So what I'm going to do now, the only other thing I'm going to do with the dozer is just spread this snowy topsoil along the edge. It does still look a little bit low, right about there. But I'll smooth it out with the tractor bucket. And then next year, if I need to, I can always fine-tune it, but should be a lot better than it was. Well, I've done all that I can in this muddy, soupy mess that I've made for myself. As far as the material that I used, this is called crusher run gravel or crushed gravel. This is 1.5 inches. So our gravel here is bank run, so it's going to have sand all the way up to 1.5 inch pieces. And I believe they will add crushed rock as necessary to get the right ratio of different size material. You know, they had a local airport did a runway expansion, and they had to make a special mix which had a little bit rockier than the regular crushed gravel here. So this is primarily a bank run product. There might be some crushed granite mixed in with it. We do have a product which is all crushed product, which should be called, we call it stay mat. Some people might call it gravel in other parts of the country, but it's all a quarry product. It's all crushed from whatever size it is, say 1.5 inches, all the way down to fine rock dust. But everything in it would be crushed material. It wouldn't be any kind of bank run or sand. So this contains sand, small rocks, bigger rocks, as well as crushed rock. This is quite soupy. It's pumping quite a bit. You can see the water squishing up through the openings. Probably, I may have a chance this fall, although it's unlikely. But certainly next spring, I'll probably have to bring another couple loads here to lift this up. It's really just too low. It might be slightly higher than the grass around it, but not by enough. But we'll let this set. A lot of the runoff we have now is the snow that's melted that we had in the last couple days. So I do have, I mean, my goal is accomplished as far as the water running down the road is coming off to the side. It's not going down the road here and off into there like it had been. I do have some here though that's not behaving itself. So what I might do is just take a shovel and sort of redirect that way. But yeah, I just don't think I have enough height. But we'll call this project good for now. Maybe I'll mess with it this fall, maybe I'll wait till the spring. But I appreciate you watching this one. Stay tuned for more fun this winter. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.